My job as an elected official is to represent everyone who calls Talbot County their home and balance everyone's needs. I need to listen to those who speak out publicly, as well as those who call and email privately, as well as those who will be impacted but do not speak out. It is one of the most challenging things that we do. As the mother of two sons who graduated from Easton High School and moved on to further their education, my husband and I were very involved parents and know how very important education is. Most citizens were not even aware of the massive increases in education funding until the media picked it up last week, because the extra $2 million, which has now been taken away, not taken away, but not that amendment, that one council member suggested was never part of the official budget that we advertised. It wasn't even introduced at a legislative session, but at a council work session. Last week, I reluctantly modified my position from the proposed budget of $1.7 million above the current year's budget, plus the additional $830,000 in non-recurring expenses, which was literally approved 30 minutes before we got out here, for a total increase of $2.5 million more than last year. That number met the, I proposed the additional $371,000 that met the school's request, which is what they said that they would need. And I appreciate the two bodies working together to come up with the priorities for their funding levels for 2019. This would bring the total increase over the current year to nearly $3 million. This is not cutting the budget. This is not a maintenance of effort budget. And this is not a status quo budget. I believed we had made a good compromise. And it's never sound fiscal policy to move money from the capital budget, which is where we're going to get the money for the new $50 million elementary school, or from our savings account, particularly when we know those operating costs, since they are mandated by the state maintenance of effort law to go on forever, can never be decreased. I can't support moving money out of savings or capital to do that. Any additional spending requires that we raise everyone's taxes. Raising the property tax an additional 4.7 cents to meet the $2 million, on top of the 5 cents that we have done already since 2013, and doubling in 1 year, is just too much for the average citizen. The County Council has stepped up over the last 6 years. We've increased funding. We've increased taxes. We're in the top 3 in local funding in the state at 75% of their total budget, and in the top 5 in local per pupil dollars at $8,621, when the state average is just over $7,300. Throughout 2018, we have raised property taxes 10% so far. For the average homeowner, that's an additional $177 purely for the increase in education funding, and nothing for the other services that are needed by the rest of the county citizens. We have raised $3.7 million. We proposed an additional 2 cents for this current year, which would have gotten us to raising $5.2 million over the last 6 years solely for education, which is a good place to put it. But asking our citizens for another $2 million would be a cumulative increase of 18%, or $357 per homeowner, which is just too much to do in 1 year. Many can't afford it. The average person in Talbot County is making 20% below the state average, or they're a retiree on a fixed income. They have planned for their retirement, but they didn't plan for a 20% increase in their taxes all at once. And now we're about to beg the citizens' consent to allow us to raise their taxes to fund the other half of the county budget through a tax revenue proposal. And it's due in large part because the school budget does require such a large chunk, over 50%. They haven't consented to the 10% we've done so far, and they haven't consented to a potential increase of 18% to fund a $4 million increase that will go on forever. So I hope that we can recognize that nearly $3 million will do it for this year. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.